The full moon rises high above the hill as you approach the ancient manor. Dare you enter?
Betrayal at House on the Hill is a game of exploration and treachery. For 3 to 6 players. This is also the 3rd edition of the game, so if you've played it before, there are some differences. Experienced players can find a list of changes in the rulebook.
But the basic premise is the same. You and your friends will explore a mysterious house and its 3 stories: the upper floor, the ground floor, and the basement. At a certain point in the game, a haunt will be triggered, and the rules of the game shift dramatically. Often this means one or more players will turn traitor and create a conflict within the group. Other times, the players must battle against intruding monsters or the house itself. There are 50 unique haunts contained within the 3rd edition, so each game may be different from the last. The rules for each are split between 2 books: The Secrets of Survival and The Traitor's Tome. Betrayal at House on the Hill contains a myriad of pieces, including character figures, room tiles, various card decks, tokens, and more, offering a wealth of possibilities every time you play. To set up the game, locate and set aside the Traitor's Tome and the Secrets of Survival haunt books. You'll need those later, so don't peek. Everyone will then select the character to play and choose the matching character board. Each board is double-sided, featuring a different explorer who has 4 traits. Now, might and speed are physical traits, while knowledge and sanity are mental traits. Throughout the game, you'll encounter situations that may ask you to roll dice based on these traits. Each explorer has different strengths and weaknesses, so pick whichever character appeals to you. Now thoroughly shuffle the Omen, Event, and Item decks, and set them within easy reach of each player, along with the dice. Give everyone a player reference card, and place the monster reference and traitor reference cards on the table. You might need those 2 later. You can also set aside the plethora of tokens for now. They may come into play later when the haunt begins, but they are not used in the first half of the game. To begin building the house, locate the 3 starting tiles. You'll need to find the combined entrance hall, hallway, and ground floor staircase tile, the upper landing tile, and the basement landing tile. Set them in the center of the table, spaced out from one another. Now keep in mind the board will grow as you explore the house, so you'll want to leave ample room to adjust as needed. Shuffle the rest of the tiles and place them in a face-down stack within the reach of the players. Place the explorer figures on the characters chosen on the entrance hall. Now, as a group, take a look at the 5 scenario cards. Together you'll choose one that will become the explorer's motive for visiting the house. This card will also help determine which haunt you may activate this game, so choose wisely. Finally, determine the first player by checking the character boards. Whichever explorer has the next upcoming birthday is first.
Alright, now you're ready to play Betrayal at House on the Hill. At least, as ready as you can be.
At the beginning of the game, a player's turn consists of the following actions performed in any order. Your explorer can move around the house a number of tiles equal to your current speed. Your explorer can choose to trade item and omen cards that you possess with other explorers in the same room as you, as long as you have their permission. You may have additional special actions from items or omens. These can be taken once each per turn. Now early in the game, you're going to be investigating the house, so you can discover new rooms. This happens when you move through an unexplored doorway that does not yet have a room tile on the other side. When this happens, first check to see what floor you're on, basement, ground, or upper floor. If the top tile of the stack does not match your region, bury that tile by moving it to the bottom of the stack. Now repeat this until the top tile matches. Then draw that tile and add it to the board. Make sure to connect it to a doorway on the newly placed room touches the doorway you came through. You can orient a new room tile whichever you wish as long as the doorways connect. You don't need to worry if other doorways do not match up on adjacent rooms. Now, you can move your explorer into the new room and potentially discover up to 2 exciting interactions. Now, if the tile has any text on it that says when you discovered this tile or when you entered this tile, you must resolve that first. Then check to see if the tile has an omen symbol, an item symbol, or an event symbol on it. Pick up a card that matches that symbol. An event card is something that'll happen to your explorer when they discover the room. Read the italicized text aloud to all players and follow the instructions on the text. The card may ask you to make a trait roll. To do so, take a number of dice equal to your score in the trait required by the card and give them a good roll. You'll notice the dice used in Betrayal at House on the Hill only show 3 results: 0, 1, or 2. Add up the results and check on the event card to see what happens based on the total rolled. Your character may gain or lose traits, or be forced to move, or something else entirely chilling may happen. Once you are finished, bury the event card by placing it on the bottom of the deck. If the room shows the item symbol, draw an item card and read it aloud. Then, place it face up in front of you. That item is yours. Items can vary from weapons to special trinkets to magical tombs and more. If the room shows an omen symbol, draw an omen card, read it aloud, and place it face up in front of you. Omens are similar to items in some ways, but they also indicate that something dire could happen. I'm talking about the haunt. After you've drawn an omen card, you may make a haunt roll. To do so, count up the number of omens held by all players, including the one you just drew, and roll that many dice. Anything less than 5 will mean the game continues as is. If the result is 5+, the haunt will begin.
Yes, that means the first 2 omens drawn will not activate the haunt, so you'll be safe. For now.
Once you finish discovering a room, your turn ends even if you still have movement remaining. If you do not discover a room, your turn ends when you have used all available movement and actions, or you voluntarily choose you don't want to do anything else. The next player will then perform their movement and actions, exploring the house further and further, deeper and deeper until the haunt is revealed. Once a player scores 5+ on the haunt roll, the haunt begins and the game will change. The player who made the roll becomes the haunt revealer. They will locate the last omen discovered by the haunt revealer on the scenario card chosen at the beginning of the game to find out which haunt will trigger. It will also indicate which player may become a traitor. There are 4 situations that can occur indicated on the scenario card. Some haunts have no traitors. During these haunts, the players will continue to work together to survive whatever may happen. Many haunts have 1 traitor, and the rest of the players become heroes. The traitor and the heroes have different goals, and the first team to accomplish their goal wins. Other haunts may have a hidden traitor, which means the traitor's identity is not yet known, and explorers are permitted to attack one another. After all, anyone could become the traitor. Finally, there are free-for-all haunts. In these haunts, the explorers are each on their own team and must fight amongst one another to be the first to accomplish a goal. Not everyone can win. Often the haunt revealer becomes the traitor, but in some cases, it may be the player with the highest or lowest of a certain trait. In the case of a tie, the player closest to the haunt revealer in turn order becomes the traitor.
In other situations, a player may be reluctant to oppose all the other players when the haunt is revealed. In this case, another player may volunteer to become the traitor. Simply swap the locations of the 2 explorer figures and pass the card that triggered the haunt to the volunteer.
The haunt revealer then takes the Secrets of Survival book and locates the haunt indicated on the scenario card. The player will read aloud the introduction, and the heroes will complete the indicated setup steps. This may include locating any tokens needed for the haunt. Each haunt lists the specific tokens needed, so find those and set them nearby, ready for use. If there is a traitor, they will then find the haunt in the traitor's tome and similarly read aloud the introduction and perform any setup steps.
Finally, the traitor and heroes should go into separate rooms to each read their respective instructions so they can discuss strategy and learn any special rules. Once all the players have returned to the table, the haunt begins, starting with the player to the left of the traitor and proceeding clockwise. During the haunt, the players now all have access to a variety of actions and choices that were not available at the start of the game, man. Many of these actions will be found in the haunt rules, but a common action found throughout most of the haunts is attacking. Once the haunt begins, players can attack monsters and other players, as long as they're not on the same team.
may only attack once per turn, and may only attack someone or something on the same tile. To attack, the player and their opponent both roll a number of dice equal to their might trait. Whoever rolls higher wins and deals an amount of physical damage equal to the distance of both rolls. If the rolls were tied, no damage is dealt. For each point of physical damage, a player must reduce one of their physical traits, might or speed. Sometimes an effect or weapon might alter the rules of combat. A player may only choose to use one weapon during an attack. These effects may ask you to roll a different trait for the attack. Speed is also considered a physical attack, but if you attack using knowledge or sanity, it's considered a mental attack, and any damage taken is mental, which can reduce knowledge or sanity. Other effects may allow you to target an opponent on a different tile than your own if you have line of sight. This means any opponent who your explorer could move to without changing direction or region. So basically a straight line of rooms connected by doors. If an explorer must take damage that would reduce a trait to 0, depicted by a skull symbol, the horrors of the house have proven too much, and that hero dies. Turn them on their side to indicate they are now a corpse. Dead explorers still carry all the items and omens that they had in life and can be traded with. Once per turn, you may take an item or omen card from a corpse, as long as you are on the same tile. No permission is needed from that player.
If the haunt includes a traitor, that player will gain some special rules as well.
Notably, a traitor will not take damage from room tiles that have effects that cause damage. For example, the collapsed room normally could damage an explorer who falls through the floor, but the traitor will not suffer damage if they fall. Additionally, the traitor may choose to ignore event symbols if they discover a new room tile. If they do choose to draw the event card, they must resolve it as normal. In some haunts, the traitor may get to control one or many monsters. The Traitor's Tome will inform the traitor of any special rules, but the basic rules for monsters can be found in the monster reference card. The monsters all take a turn after the traitor, or the haunt will tell you when the monster will act. Notably, monsters usually have fixed traits that do not go up and down. If they take any damage, monsters are usually not killed, but are instead stunned. Simply flip the monster token to the stunned side.
When a monster starts its turn stunned, the monster may not move except to flip the token face up. Note that some monsters in specific haunts may be killed. Monsters also move differently than the heroes do. At the start of a monster's turn, roll a number of dice equal to that monster's speed. The total number is how many tiles that monster can move on that turn.
Monsters move similarly to the traitor. They can move up and down stairs, and they do not take damage from room tile effects. However, they may not discover new rooms.
Each of the 50 haunts is unique, so no doubt you'll encounter rules not covered here. Many spooky and spectacular things might happen, so players gotta be prepared. The 3rd edition of Betrayal at House on the Hill encourages heroes and explorers to read the introductions of their respective haunt books before splitting into separate rooms, so that all players will have a basic understanding of the haunt, so that their special rules make sense.
But if a special action or rule is followed in-game, other players can ask for the rule to be read aloud to the table. Information in the Traitor's Tome, or Secrets of Survival books, are only secret until it's used in the game. Players play through the haunt until one side has achieved their objective or until they are dead. If the explorers or traitor wins, read the "If You Win" box in the appropriate tome and celebrate, or mourn, the victory.
But remember, the house will still be there, ready to be investigated by a new group of explorers, ready to tempt fate. Are you brave enough for Betrayal at House on the Hill? Let the haunt begin.